I've had a boo-boo. I know that not that long ago, really, in the grand space of time, we talked about cleaning sensors, and I gave you some advice back then that was basically don't try and DIY it fully yourself, just blow it a bit and hope for the best, and if it doesn't work, send it into the manufacturer. But alas, I'm in a situation where I have made a problem a lot worse with my Sony A1 and I need to fix it. So in an emergency situation, because I have a shoot this afternoon, we're going to sit down and clean my sensor together and see if we can get this back to how it should be instead of how it is, which is currently completely unusable. I screwed up here, but in my defense, operating in a scenario that looks a little bit like this is slightly challenging to keep dust out of everything. What we're doing today is a bit DIY, a bit hope for the best, a bit I actually don't know if this is going to work. And hopefully we'll try and pull something somewhat educational off the back of it. Although we've cleaned this sensor, let me just state that this is not approved by the manufacturers and it could void the warranty if you do this yourself. And I can't be held responsible if you damage your own camera. Okay, good. So we'll start by checking the sensor to see what situation we're actually working with. So for today, I'm just going to leave the lens that was on this when the problem all began, which is the 70-200 2.8 GM Mark II and my Sony A1. I've taken the camera strap off so that we're minimizing all bits and pieces that could get taffled, confused, and make a mess of everything. And I'm going to take a picture. Now, to take this picture and make it useful, what you need to do is make sure that you're getting a good exposure on a solid white thing. Okay, so it just has to be a completely white thing and you need a good exposure. You want to be looking at around f14 to f16, which means your ISO might actually be quite high depending on where you're working. So I'm going to go ahead and set that up now. Then I'm going to point it at a completely white thing and triple check my exposure here. And I'm going to also, oh my gosh, this is so bad. You just want to take a picture. Now, that picture, what it's going to show you is all of the mess that is living on your sensor. And if we have a look at the picture that my camera has produced, we have an absolute disaster on our hands. Like, this is probably the worst it's ever been, and I'm genuinely concerned that this is not all going to come off, or I've damaged my sensor, or it will scratch, and I may end up with a completely useless camera body. However, I do have a shoot this afternoon, therefore we will continue onwards. Don't judge me. Dan, it's really bad. So I do have a sensor cleaning kit. However, it's not at this property because we've just moved house, and therefore I needed an emergency set of supplies to be able to solve hopefully this problem. We're just going to hope for the best here, and therefore I resorted to Amazon in my moment of panic. The K&F air blower and the K&F sensor cleaning swab kit. I know what you're going to be thinking. You know, Jess, you're a brand partner for K&F. Obviously, you were going to go and get K&F stuff, but actually not. If we'd have asked, they'd have just sent us it for free. However, I was in an emergency situation. It was a weekend and I just ordered what was available. And therefore, it's just a convenience that we ended up at K&F stuff. I've got an air blower. I've got my sensor cleaning kit. I'm going to get this out of the plastic wrapper so you guys aren't having to deal with the noise. And then we're going to try and get started here. So first port of call, the first thing that you're going to do is make sure that we are in a sterile, clean environment. Clean hands, go and wash them, clean work surfaces, make sure you've cleaned them, make sure no windows are open, make sure no doors are open, make sure there's not a lot of movement in the room, and if you can, hoover, mop, clean, everything you need to do to minimize the amount of dust that could be floating around in the air. And when you've done that, you can come back, stay still and get ready. It might be helpful to have an overhead light that you can angle so that you can see what you're doing. For the purposes of today, I'm going to go ahead and mostly use my BenQ light bar because I can angle this and get a little bit of some good trajectory on it. I don't have a desk lamp here that can move very easily, and therefore we're just going to work with what we've got, which is probably quite similar to a lot of you. So we're going to open up our products, our air blower and also our sensor cleaning kit, after making sure everything is clean and sterile, and then we're going to get started. First place to start is to use your air blower. So you do need one of these. Use your air blower to blow the dust from everywhere else, specifically around where the lens joints are. Then nobody move, because you need to take your camera lens off and assess the situation. I really don't want to look. With your camera body, notice how I kept mine facing downwards. This is the best way of doing this. However, you can definitely have a peek if you'd like to. First things first is to get hold of your blower and being careful about where the end of it is. You're going to keep your camera faced downwards and you're going to gently blow up into the sensor area. Some cameras you might need to actually flip some internal thing back. You're going to have to check the camera manual for that, but for me, my sensor is visible at all times. Making sure you're not going to tap the sensor, you're going to go ahead and use your blower to blow whilst tilting the camera downwards. Now that in itself has actually taken some stuff off, so yay for me, because I'm feeling like this might actually work. When you've done that, take a look at the sensor. I mean, she's not clean. I didn't think she was going to be clean with just that, but yours might be. Now at this point you can, if you'd like to, go ahead and put your lens back on and take another picture so that you can see the difference. And if you still have some of those nasty sensor spots appearing in your image, you need to continue onwards. And I'm going to go ahead and prepare my work area, which is now here, because we're going to start doing this bit next. Grab hold of a sensor cleaning swab. You're actually going to need 2 swabs. So we can go ahead and grab a second one, make sure that we've got everything all available for us. And then what we're also going to do is grab the sensor cleaning liquid, which is this one here. And now we prepare for surgery. Making sure nothing moves in the environment, making sure that we don't have any dust particles floating around more than we can kind of control. We're going to make sure that we've got a good view of the sensor. So you might need to change the angle of the light that you're working with to make sure that you've got a good view. You're then going to go ahead and grab your first sensor swab. Obviously, read the manufacturer's instructions for how you're supposed to use this. They might be different, but I'm going to go in just do this my way. So you're going to take care that you're not going to touch the end, the tongue of the swab with your fingers. So you're going to keep your fingers well out of the way. And then what you're going to do is you're going to grab your sensor cleaning liquid, making sure there's no seal on it. You're going to go ahead and grab your little swab, grab your liquid, and you're going to go ahead and put, probably not very well, a few drops of liquid. Oops, missed. Now you should only need to do one side because it will pass up and through the swab. So I've got both sides that are now wet, and this is a terrifying process. You're going to make sure that it's fairly dry. Nothing's dripping off of that. I'm checking the floor. There's no drips coming off of the end of this. And then we pray and hope for the best because we're going to start surgery now. So getting a good hold of your sensor swab, but not pressing down hard. You're going to go from one side to the other. Okay, and then you're going to flip the side of the sensor and come back over it. The reason why I'm explaining this now is because I need to concentrate. Wish me luck. With that part of the surgery complete, you can put this swab in the bin. It's useless now at its current state. So I usually just make a little pile over here. With your second swab, taking care to open it away from the camera body itself. You're going to keep this one dry, and this one is going to just go sweep, sweep, same again, just like we did before, over the sensor. Now is the moment of truth. We're going to go ahead and reattach the lens again, making sure nothing really moves. From here, we need to take that test shot again and hope for the best. And do you know what? Hang on, wait, is that one? Or is that a dimple in the wall? It's a dimple. Complete. Oh, thank God. Brilliant result for us. If you found this video helpful, please go ahead and say so down in the comments, because it just makes sitting here and doing this whilst talking to you guys about it completely worthwhile. Otherwise, I've literally just spent an hour doing something that could have taken about 5 minutes. See you next time.